When I first came to America, the hardest thing I had to learn was the fact that, as strange as it was, conversation wasn't as frank as it was in South Africa. You know, so I came from a world where democracy was fresh. The conversation and discourse around what was happening was fresh. And so niceties were put to the side in exchange for honesty. You know, so people worried less about how others would feel about what they're saying and rather worry about communicating effectively what they felt. So that was the one thing I had to learn, was there was a certain level of tiptoeing that had to be performed you know, when doing stand-up in America. But for the most part, I've found this is one of the most comfortable places to exist in because our histories are so similar. You know, we both have South Africa and America with the histories of oppression, histories of people fighting for their rights, histories of a change of impossible terms. You know, people seeing things that they thought they'd never live to see. First black president was just as crazy in South Africa as I feel as it was here. You know, so all of those evolutions I understand from a slightly different prism. You know, I go, this makes sense to me. The only difference is the power shift in South Africa. Obviously, is the majority of people are black there, so the power shift was a bigger one than it was in America. But instead, in terms of understanding the dynamics, I find a lot of it is the same.
So it's an honest discussion. So you go back to South Africa, let's say you're at the pub, and you're talking.
At the pub?
Or wherever.
Oh, okay.
At a bar. And like, when people, what would they, man, that's some crazy shit going on over there in the United States. What do they think of American politics when they see this? What do your friends back home tell you?
It's interesting because we see, if anything I've learned, we see the highlights. You know, it's like we don't get the play-by-play, we're not watching every single game. So even if, let's say, if you talk about something like a debate, a Republican debate, it was crazy to see how little of that world we've seen in South Africa versus what you get here. Here there is a mass consumption and often artificial creation of hype around an election. You know, it's like I don't understand the polls, for instance. I genuinely do not understand them. The logic of it doesn't, like there's no logic to it sometimes for me. So people go, he's number one in the polls. And I say, so he's going to win. They go, oh no, the polls don't mean anything. I say, well then why do you have the polls? Oh, because we need them to tell us what's going to happen. I say, well that's not logical. And people go, yeah, it works.
What would they do without the polls?
You would,
what would happen?
I understand. At some point, this blows my mind. So every single election cycle, you're going to have a bunch of crazy people leading in the polls, a bunch of people stirring people. This is what frightens me with the polls. If you have a radical that says, yeah, you do. So let's say you have radicals. Okay. So let's say you have radicals that are saying crazy things in public forums. Often those people are regarded as radicals and people who are not, you know, the most sane individuals. But then when a poll comes out that verifies that this person is in the front, you know, they go, this is a front runner, this is somebody that could become the president, I sometimes go, you are almost, in a strange way, you're adding credence to what they're doing. You know, sometimes I go, well, now that person goes, you see, I said the thing, and the votes are in my favor, so I'm saying the right thing. And it's like, no, you're not. It's just the summer. People are crazy, but they don't know that. And then some of the crazy people out there, or some of the people who don't have the right views, or maybe have fringe views, go, oh, this is the right thing to go for because it is number one. And I think it's a slippery slope sometimes, trying to understand what the poll is supposed to be.
It is, but I mean, if you think about it for a second, the Republican Party is 40% of the country. And 30% of that 40 can create a lot of havoc in the way that our democracy works. And I think that's what we see in there. Except when you look at, you look at the Republican side, and you see Trump, or you did a piece on, you did a piece on Ben Carson that I thought was utterly brilliant about him. He would have done it if he was in there. Trump is talking about the largest mass deportation in human history.
Yes.
Does that like, what do you think of that? How do you you're a young guy, you're multicultural, multi-everything, and you see somebody talking about, we get a forum today and said, well, you got to understand people are not getting a raise in their paycheck. So my boss didn't give you a raise. He said, good, let's deport 12 million people. How do you process that?
I identify with it, strangely enough. South Africa, over the years, has been, in many ways, strangely enough, referred to as the America of Africa. They say South Africa is the United States of America, of Africa. Like we are considered to be ahead. We are considered to be extremely industrialized compared to many other places in the continent. We have a great economy, and we are considered as being the most ignorant on the continent. This is honestly true. And so, and if you look at what's happened in South Africa, we have a lot of people who, unfortunately, have swayed towards a xenophobic sentiment because the leaders haven't given them the true answers about why things are going wrong. So when I see Donald Trump doing what he does or saying what he says, I go, I've seen guys saying this back home. It's the honest truth. Someone goes up and they go, this is the opportunity. When people are starving, you can sell them any story. You know, Hitler did it in Germany. He said, you know why you're hungry? It's because of these people. And that's the best time to mobilize anyone, is when they're hungry and when they're scared. You can give them any story because people want change. And so you can give them that change. And the worst time you find as a human being is when you're hungry, when you're afraid. You will make decisions that you would not normally make. And so when I see Donald Trump say these things, I go, I know what this is. I've seen this before. I come from a place where at times xenophobia has risen to a point where there's violence in the streets against people from other countries. And so you just have to be careful with how much, I guess, credence you give it. That's the scary thing for me.
Okay. Group of people because they were different with them. Do you think that can happen? You can always. I was attacking, we violently attacking. I'm not talking about
it can always happen. We are all people on the same. It's just a spectrum of how hungry or scared we are. It can always happen. It's just about who you are made to believe the enemy is, and that is often what happens. Is that those in power, on varying sides, those in power are very smart at making it seem like the problem doesn't come from their side, but from another source. And then the people on the ground go, well, that's an easier thing to comprehend. It's hard for me to understand that my problems come from the fact that there is no bipartisanship in Congress, and I don't understand how the House actually works. But if you tell me that the reason I don't have a job is because of that brown fella that skipped over the border, that's something I can understand, and that's something I can do something about. And I think if you let it get far enough, you can never say it will never happen.
So